All right, everyone. Welcome back to our fourth episode of Community Spotlight with Hibernian Hall. My name is Olawumi, and I am the director of Hibernian Hall, and I will be also your moderator for this afternoon. Thank you. We have a wonderful guest that we're going to have and a wonderful conversation with. Her name is Trisha Elam Walker. She's basically had been a lot of things for the past couple of years before she moved, and we're gonna sit and talk with her today and give a little afternoon lunch gist. But before I do that, I'm going to basically introduce her and give a little bit of her bio. So let's give a little round of applause if you guys over there watching. Trisha Elam Walker is an award-winning author, attorney, and educator. Her first novel, Breathing Room, was published by Simon and Schuster Pocket Books in 2001. Her work has appeared in the Washington Post, the Baltimore Sun, Essence, and other publications. She has provided commentary for NPR, CNN, and the BCC, and more. Trisha's short stories are included in the O. Henry Prize Stories, New Stories from the South, and other anthologies, and her essays are published in Father Son, Dream Me Home Safely. It's all about love and more. As the venue's 2018-2019 visiting playwright, her plays Bold Moves and With Glittering Eyes were produced by Hibernian Hall, yes, us, in Boston in 2018 and 2019. Her first children's book, Nana Aquahome Goes Home, was just published by Random House this month. So we're going to learn more about that. Trisha is a Roxbury girl from Mass, received her JD from Northeastern University School of Law and her MFA from University of Maryland. She's the assistant professor of creative writing at Howard University in DC, Washington, DC, sorry. And currently, Trisha resides in Tacoma Park, Maryland, with her husband, where you can find her working on short stories, essays, and another novel, more children's books and plays. So thank you very much, y'all. Now let's go on, bring on Trisha on with us. Hello, Trisha. Welcome.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
Hello. Yes. Thank you for joining us. I just gave everyone a little introduction about yourself. Since now you are on with us, I would just open up the floor for you and just, tell us a little bit more about yourself and when you moved and when you lived in Boston. So take it away.
First of all, I want to thank you so much because Hibernian Hall means everything to me. Hibernian Hall is the place, as you know, that first decided to produce my plays. And, I'm a new playwright, and Bold Moves were my actual very first plays. There were 4 short plays. And Dylan Buston and I met on Martha's Vineyard one summer. And it was very ironic, Ola, because he was talking about all the things Hibernian was trying to do in terms of, new theater and just a light in the community for folks, a creative light. And he said, we're interested in new artists. And I was like, oh, okay. I made a beeline over to him after he finished talking and just said, I have these plays. Would you take a look? And, he was so gracious. And long story short, my plays were produced. And then you guys asked me to be a playwright in residence and do a full-length play, which I also had not done before. So I really owe a lot to Hibernian Hall. Which I also had not done before. And I always sort of saw you doing so many things, wearing so many hats, being on top of so much at Hibernian Hall. So I'm really delighted to see you in this position, and I just want to congratulate you first for that. That's wonderful, perfect. So Hibernian Hall got me started with the plays, but I think I was really, always a writer, but just couldn't figure out what to do with it. So I went to law school and became a lawyer. I had lots of lawyers in my family. My father was one of the first Black judges in Boston. And so I followed that path and practiced law in Boston and DC for about 16 years.
Wow.
And, but, I was always writing on the side and kind of felt like, okay, why can't I do what I love? How do I get to do that? So I took a chance and went back to grad school, got the master's in creative writing and wrote my novel and then kind of took off from there. I thought that Oprah was going to call me and I would just be writing, but my girl hasn't called yet. So I started teaching writing. So that's what I've been doing. And as you know, I was living in Boston and commuting to Howard for about 3 years because my parents were still alive and ailing, getting older. So I wanted to be near them, and I did that for 3 years, and I had a great time in Boston. As you said, I'm a Roxbury girl, but that commute was hard.
I bet.
So after my parents left this earth, I decided to move back to the DC area where I am now. So, and
Amazing.
I always wanted to write a children's book, so I'm really excited about that happening. So I'm just, I mean, it's like sometimes people feel like you get to a certain age, you got to stop and slow down. I feel just the opposite.
Mhm.
I feel like I want to do as much as I can with the time I have.
Yes, I mean this is amazing. I mean this is a whole new set of light of you doing children's book, and I'm like, I'm curious. Are you? I mean, before I jabbed it into questions, I'm gonna be asking like, do you have a children's play coming up? Because that would be something.
Oh, that's an idea.
To-
An idea. I
but
don't know.
yes, thank you. I mean, I do remember when you was commuting back and forth from Boston to how, because I was wondering, I was like, wow. I was like, how do you end up doing all of this? I'm like, you're teaching, you're working as a lawyer, and being in Boston, and then when you decided to like just leave and just go back to finally go to DC, it was just like, do you feel like that was like a big move? Like, how did you like?
Well, I had lived in DC for 30 something years.
Oh,
Yeah, I raised my kids here and I practiced law and all kinds of things. And I was also teaching. I taught high school in DC for many years. And then as my parents got older, that's when I came back to Boston for them, really. And I'm glad that I did. I mean, you can never get that time back, and I was with each of my parents when they took their last breath, which means everything to
wow.
me. So it worked out, and Boston is home. I feel like I have two homes, which I'm a lucky girl.
I mean, it is nice to have two homes because then you can just run away or get away, I would say.
Yes, exactly.
Well, thank you for that. I guess moving right into it. So, what art do you most identify with? Like, what would you say? Of course, you're a playwright. Besides as a
Um,
writer. So, identify. We want to know exactly what art did you identify with?
it's hard to put me in a box, but I mean, I started out writing fiction, mostly short stories at first, and I always wanted to write a novel, so I did that. But I was also sort of always writing nonfiction and essays on the side about my kids, about being Black in America, all that kind, the everyday stuff that we go through. So I enjoy that too. And I think that I wanted to write plays because dialogue is one of the things that's the easiest thing. It's not easy, but it's the easiest thing for me to write. It's easier than narrative and description, even though you got to do it. But I have to work harder at it, I think. But I spend a lot of time being nosy and observing and eavesdropping on other people's conversations. So I feel like I have the air for dialogue. So I thought, what could be better with a play that's all dialogue. So I said, let me just try my hands at it. And I
Mm-hmm.
took a class at Grub Street, which is in Boston, as you know, called 6 Plays in 6 Weeks. That was the name of the class. And it was great because I didn't write six, I wrote 5 plays there. But
Oh,
4 of them were produced by Hibernian Hall. So. And then I went when Hibernian asked me to write a full length. I went back to Grub Street and took their master playwriting class, and that really helped me write with glittering eyes. So I feel like plays are very important to me. Fiction is still important to me. I always wanted to write a children's book because my mom was a children's librarian. She headed the Boston Public School libraries for many years. She made certain there were diverse books for all children in the Boston Public Schools across the board. And she loved children's books. She would sit and read children's books like she was reading an adult novel. And she knew which ones were coming out. She knew all the Black authors and that sort of thing. And when we were little, we would tease her and say, Mommy, the house is going to burn down with you sitting reading children's books. And because it was like she couldn't hear us. The world disappeared when she was reading. So she instilled that love in me, and I always wanted to do a children's book. So now that it's happened, I'm like, let's keep doing it. And I started out actually I'm trying to write one with Aqua Holmes. As you probably know Aqua, she's a renowned artist in Boston and Roxbury. She's a Roxbury girl. She's my cousin. We grew up together. And so that was what we pitched. She had some collages that she hadn't really done anything with. And she asked me to, do you want to write some words to go with the collages? And at first I was sort of like, I like to be the boss of the story. I don't know if I want to, but I did it. And when we tried to send it out, people were saying, well, it's not really a book. Maybe it's a coffee table, something. Maybe it's vignettes. It's not really, we don't really think it's a story. Mm-hmm. But we finally found an agent who loved it, who sold it. So that was the initial jump that got me started with the children's books. We sold that. And then because Aqua has so many projects, she's won prizes and stuff. So she had a bunch of projects already lined up. And it's going to be, that book's not going to come out till 2021. So they gave me a separate deal for Nana Akua. So that's how that came to be. So, once again, I feel like I was really fortunate to let that happen, to have that happen. And so I want to keep writing children's books. I mean, I feel like, I don't know if you know Susan Laurie Parks, the playwright. She says that her writing is like a lazy Susan, where there's different, genres, and she can go to one and work on that for a little while and go to the other. So, I'm working on my novel, I'm working on my children's stuff. I would love to write another play. So we'll see.
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
to your question, sorry.
No, that's great. I mean, you're busy, and that's awesome. It's like, I love the way that you're still creating, and it's like it's like your mind is expanding more. So I'm excited to hear more what you got in store. I don't know, you might have a fashion line coming up because you're fierce. Yes. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, and I'm definitely, this moves right along to basically what's your relationship with Hibernian Hall, and knowing that you was our playwright in residence in 2018 to 2019. I just want to know. Even though then I was working beside with Dylan Buston, and just be able to just observe and be behind the scenes. Mm-hmm. Just want to get your perspective of how you things went. Like, I mean, this was part of your first series of plays that you put out. And I wanted to know, like, from there, did it, help you succeed a little bit more since you've been gone, or like,
absolutely. I mean, the thing about that was, first of all, it was a dream come true. To have real actors reading your words, it changes so much for a playwright, I think. I mean, because it's like, you hear them, you read them out loud, but when you actually hear an actor, give the right inflections or give their interpretation of what you've written, it means so much. So it made me want to write better, want to write more, want to change things after I heard them read it. And then also to have a director and their vision. So Dylan directed Bold Moves, and then we brought in Dawn Simmons to direct With Glittering Eyes. Both of them, just showed me what it means to have someone masterful sort of take over and have a vision for what the scenery should look like, pulling in various actors. I had no idea what a set was or how to do anything, but you guys pulled it all together, and then the marketing things that went along with it. It was great. It was wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, that's awesome. I mean, if I was in your shoes, I would feel the same way. It's like a dream come true to watch your work live. And, with all the theater productions I hear in Boston, these actors are putting in work just to make sure that your vision is told. So I'm so grateful. And I'm trying to go back in the archives to see if we actually taped anything. But I mean, definitely people have still been talking about it, and we want to find some ways of how we can connect with you next.
I love that. And I was going to ask you too about whether anything was taped, because I would love to, find out if there was to benefit.
I believe so. I'm definitely going to look into that. Like, now that's our biggest thing right now with Hibernian Hall, is just to make sure we document everything. And even this right now, creating this platform, this is one way of us just connecting with folks that we used to work with, or just had affiliation with Hibernian Hall, and just finding out like what's going on. Through this COVID-19. And now, actually, since we're segueing into that question, what have you been doing through COVID-19? Like, what were the challenges? Like, let us know what's going on.
I know, it's so interesting. I mean, all of us, it's new for all of us, right? We've never had this experience. At first, to be really honest, I was just freaked out. I was literally like, oh my God, what's going to happen here? I couldn't I couldn't imagine day to day what, I couldn't leave my house. What does that mean? I mean, I'm used to getting, going, whatever, doing everything. So the first thing that changed was I was teaching at Howard, face-to-face classes, and that had to shut down. That was like right away. And so I immediately started teaching online. That was difficult because I hadn't really done that before. And my classes are very workshopy, discussion-based writing classes. So we pretty much were confined to Zoom. It worked out, but it was hard because students had to go. They were spread all over the place. Some of them didn't have the best circumstances. Some of them couldn't get home. They were, living in random places. Some of them couldn't get online. Some of them didn't have a quiet place. So I remember on one Zoom call, one of my things is I really want everyone to participate. And that's part of their grade. I need to hear them speak. It doesn't matter necessarily, there's no right or wrong, but I need to know that they've been doing the reading, they've been thinking, that sort of thing, right? And a couple of people didn't speak at all on the Zoom. And later on, they emailed me and said, sorry, professor, but I didn't have a quiet place, or I don't have a room by myself. Or, my brothers and sisters were there and I couldn't talk. And, and then what am I going to do? I have to, I have to be compassionate about that. So that was, those circumstances were really challenging. But we got through it. I felt really bad for my seniors, of course, because they couldn't have, everything that they dreamed about in terms of a graduation and all that goes along with graduation, the parties, etc. So I did feel for them, but I feel like they all rose to the occasion, and I was proud of them, really. And I told them that. But some of them, had sick family members, or they themselves weren't sure about their, it was a challenging time for that. For me, it was also challenging in terms of my creativity because I was so sort of anxious about everything. It took me a long time to be able to really sit down and focus and write. My mind was 1,000 places. I was worried about my own children who are kind of spread out over the country. They're all fine, but that was a concern. My husband, I was kind of worried about him. He ended up in the hospital. Part of that, part of the COVID thing, totally unrelated, but it happened at that time. So there was just a lot going on.
Oh, yeah, that's scary. Yeah.
And so there was a lot going on until he's fine now, but it was a lot going on in terms of me trying to do my work. So that said, now that's been since March. So a lot has changed. Yeah. Things have calmed down. I'm getting used to the Costco deliveries and the Whole Foods deliveries. I might never go in the grocery store again.
Exactly. This is what it's changing our lives to now. It's like,
no, it's unbelievable. For Juneteenth, we decided to actually order out from a restaurant. We hadn't done that in a long time. That was very nice. It was a treat, to do. I can't wait to go down to the Black Lives Matter Plaza. I haven't done that yet.
Oh yes, you are. Yes, that is.
Yeah, I want to go see that. So, but I've been working. I've been trying to promote Nana Akua. Oh, I need to hold that up.
So yes, please do. Everyone, check that out, Nana Akua.
Yes. I've been doing some, virtual promotions for that, and really trying to finish up my novel, which I've been working on for a while. It's time for it to be done, for the child to be birthed. It's that time. So COVID has been challenging, and I don't think it's over. I mean, I see all these people, going back out, and sometimes people without masks. If I go out, I'm going to have a mask on. I'm going to keep the social distancing. I went into one of the bookstores here yesterday to sign books. It was very, they had it set up. It was just me, one other person. She was, far enough away from me. I signed everything was very sanitized. I signed the books and then I left. So I will do things like that where I feel like the precautions, have been taken. But I think we have to still take this seriously, and I don't know what's going to happen in the fall. I don't know, what Howard's going to do. So we'll see.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, it's great to hear different perspectives of how people have been coping with COVID-19, because we're still trying to figure it out as well. Right. And as we go along, I know people say like, we might be under this circumstance until next year. I hope not. But I'm glad that we're all taking steps to find ways to be better at it and calm each other's down, because yes, our our ends, our wits, our nerves can really take us on to another level where we're not thinking straight. So I'm glad you're finding different ways to channel that. And and I believe I'm being optimistic that things will come better. We just have to find ways to come with a better plan when
Absolutely.
it comes to this crisis. So,
And some things needed to change. I really,
yep, I agree.
that. I mean, I feel a lot closer with some family members because we've been doing the Zoom things.
Yep.
Even with my kids, I have a child, they're grown people now, but my daughter's in Ohio, my son's in LA, my other son is here. But even though he's here, he doesn't live with me, so I don't, see him right now just because of COVID. So we've been doing this like Zoom book club. We're reading this book Stamped about anti-racism by Jason Reynolds and Ibram Kendi. We've been having great discussions, and it's so timely because we started reading it before all the George Floyd and the protests, and so it all fits right in. And it's like probably conversations I would not have had with my kids this way, not and certainly not all of us together.
Right.
So that's been really great. So there are some good things and some things I hope we can hold on to.
No, that's beautiful because now that I'm sitting here thinking and listening to you, we have brought a lot of things to the surface that's helping us. And I think it's great. Like now folks are sharing resources about like anti-racist books or
Right. Yeah.
or blogs or articles that other allies can read upon. And if people are saying like, how can you help us? Well, then do your research and then, basically be more visual, be more vocal. Don't just sit there when something is happening. Or, a friend of yours who's in that situation, you can say, hey, how can I help you? Like, how can I support you? And that's what we need right now as a country is how do we support each other and not take everything and get the press about it. So that's the dangerous thing, especially with mental health. It's like.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we got to vote, y'all. We got to
Say it again, Trisha.
We must vote. We cannot be complacent. They're already trying to shut down some of the voting places and not have mail-in. No, we cannot afford to go back in time. No.
Thank you for saying that because I feel like even though all this is happening, we're forgetting like what we actually should be doing. Like all these protests are wonderful, but the message needs to be carried. Like we need to talk about our elections. That's coming up, and I mean, whether what hat I'm wearing, I know who I'm not voting for. So I'm not going to say anything. So I'm not going to be on no sides. But I mean, we have to be real, and the census too. So I'm going to putting a little, shout out, and that is that the census is very important.
Absolutely. Easy. It's quick. It took me 2 seconds.
Thank you. I was about to ask you, did you do your census? I know I did mine. So if folks are out there, please go out and complete your census because that's going to help us with funding. That this is a time where we're trying to figure out like who is here on this land, like who are we serving? We have a lot of immigrants and we have a lot of like, children, education, the arts, like we need to know so we can make sure this funding are going to the right places.
That's right. And don't be scared.
Yep. Thank you. So with that too, like what's your, like how do you find your inspiration? I would say like
inspiration. It comes from everywhere, Ola, really. It does. First of all, I'm 66. I'm not ashamed to say it. That's my age. I'm proud. I'm proud to be here still on this planet. I have dear friends who are no longer here with me, who I thought we would be, hanging out till the very end. You know what I mean? So I'm inspired by when I wake up in the morning that I'm here. First, that's the first and foremost. I'm inspired by my children. I mean, I feel like that, as a parent, what you want for your children is for them to grow up to be happy, self-sufficient, thinking, caring people. And I have 3 of them who are. I'm so thankful for that. They have to have a job, but I don't care what they do. They don't have to be this, that, and the other. They need to do what makes them happy and be, self-sufficient. That's all I want. And they're wonderful. They're kind people. They're thoughtful people. And they're making a difference in the world. So they inspire me on a daily basis. They hold me to the task. It's so funny. Last night we had our Zoom book club, and 2 of my sons got on me for putting them in these African-centered schools when they were little. And why are you? Y'all are in your 30s now. Why are you talking about something that happened so long ago? Yeah, but they had all these stories that I didn't know about, things that happened to them. But as a parent, you are trying to do the best you can. And
Yep.
as a black parent, my father used to say, there is no perfect school for a black child. And it's still true.
Mm-hmm.
Very hard. You got to find a place where people care and love your child. And that is not always easy in this society. It really is not. And where they're going to get a good education. So it was tricky. And I moved them around a lot, but they were hammering me last night. Anyway, I was like, listen, and they don't have any children. I don't have any grandchildren yet. So I was like, you all have not done this yet. So you cannot, you really.
Once they get there, they'll know it's eye awakening.
That's right. So yeah, so my children inspire me. The students I teach inspire me, and other writers. I mean, there's a lot of other writers that I look for and look towards. It's hard to read sometimes when I'm writing because I don't know. I don't want a voice to influence me or to take me off my path.
Mhm.
But there are some writers I sometimes can read. I can read children's books while I'm working on children's books, so that's really great. And there's a wealth of literature out there now. The young adult stuff is blowing up. I love seeing what people are doing in that genre. That's something I would like to tap into. Maybe we'll see if I get to do that. So there's just a lot. There's a lot that's inspiring. Music inspires me. Fashion inspires me. Um, Black people on the daily, the strength, the determination, the courage. Yes.
And I guess with that too, some folks might not know. So with bold moves and with glittering eyes, I would say those are something that came to home because a lot of it was like experiences that everyday use. I remember the scene in the salon where there was like the dialogue between the Chinese woman that was doing, and she was acting as if she can't speak English. It was interesting, and it's just like as a black woman or any woman that go in, that's like you're pampering. So it's like to have that type of scene there. I just want you to just like give people a taste of what they were missing because that's something that I feel like people need to come see or revisit somewhere down the line. But yeah,
I would love to have those plays done again, but we'll see. Well, you're talking about Manny Petty, which was a lot of the plays were just sort of the short plays were, little vignettes about life. And that Manny Petty was based on several scenes that I had seen where, there was conflict, a racial, ethnic conflict between, the Asian nail salon owners or workers and the black women who came in. And sometimes the black women were rude. Sometimes the Asian workers were rude. So it was a big, kind of the language issue. So I really kind of just wanted to explore that dynamic. And so many people are like, yes, I know that, I've seen that. I've been in that situation. So
oh yeah.
fault on both sides.
See, but that's interesting because I feel like we are going through that right now.
Yeah.
And it's given a wake up call for a lot of us to be like, well, now we have to be racially sensitive about what we say or what we do. It's like not even just like a black and white thing, but no, it's with different cultures within what we go through every day. And it's not something that we notice. And I mean, I do. Some folks will be like, okay, when you're out in a restaurant, if you hear somebody slurping real loud, that means that the food is good. But to someone else, it might be like, oh my God, that person's being rude and disgusting. And it's just like, we got to be able to just do a little research and understand the sensitivity of what we all go through because we're not. Mm-hmm.
And also we know what it's like to be oppressed. So why would we oppress someone else? I mean,
or ourselves.
Right. We can't. No, that doesn't work. It's no good.
Thank you. So what would be something we should be paying attention to right now?
Well, I think we need to pay attention to the importance of reading. I feel like it's happening more because people are home and people are especially asking now for books about race and racism. Although I just heard about something in Boston where a teacher was really trying to educate. I think it was in Milton. Did you hear about this? Where a teacher was she put something together to educate her young students about race and racism using Langston Hughes poems. It sounded like a beautiful lesson. And she got suspended and all this other craziness. So I don't know what's happening. Yeah, check it out.
I did not hear that.
Some of the Milton Public Schools. But anyway, I think we do need to pay attention to reading, but not just about the Black struggle too. I think it's important for white people to also read books about Black people just living everyday life.
Mm-hmm.
Especially white children need to see Black children doing magic, jumping rope, swimming, whatever it is,
Skateboarding.
regular, normal lives too. Because when I grew up, there were not books about Black children. So the first thing was we needed books so that Black children could see themselves. And that started happening.
Yep.
So now we have that. But we're not the only people that need to see that. White children need to see that. It's really important so that they aren't thinking, oh, this person is strange, or this is the other, or they're not like me.
Yeah.
I'm better than them. The white supremacy has got to go. And that, I think reading can really, really help with that. And there are, as I said, there are some people just writing all kinds of beautiful, interesting, well thought out books and stories right now. So that, I think we can pay more attention to that. This is a good time for that.
I totally agree.
Books to the beach if we're going. Social distancing is still a must, but yes.
Yes. No, thank you for that. I mean, reading is fundamental. I think we all kind of fell off on that, even including myself.
Right.
And then just finding the right reading tools to like really pick up on that resonates with you, because all of our young people and us are just following everything on social media or just on television, and I think that's destroying what the image is for our society. And so I definitely agree if we can find ways to change that. And this is now the opportunity to actually tap into that more, especially for us as people of color. Like we need to figure out like how can we get our message out there and without being too negative or too off the fence, and be able to speak truth at the same time, that people can really say, yes, I'm for you, I'm with you, and I want to do whatever I can to help.
Yeah. And I know parents are tired. They've been trying to do the schooling and work at home and all this stuff at the same time. I understand that. I'm really thankful my kids are grown right now. I know you have smaller children. But I think that parents still have to be able to say, okay, you've had enough time on the computer. You had enough time on your phone. You have enough time in front of the TV. Now it's time for you to spend some time reading. That's what my parents did with us. We could not just sit in front of the TV. As a matter of fact, our TV used to my mother would literally take it and move it, and it would only come out on the weekends for a few hours.
Oh, wow.
She had to. I was not that strict with my own children. Maybe I should have been, but
it's hard.
It is hard. But we got to do it.
Exactly.
A little better. I see little babies with phones. I don't understand that.
Yeah.
The kids crying or whatever, and the mother wants to shop, or the father wants to do whatever he's doing, so they hand them a phone. No, hand them a book. Why not? Why not?
Yep, that's why you gotta start handing those books. But listen, take this, post it. I mean, there's so many creative ways of doing such things. I mean, with that, so what advice would you give people that are, going through their funk, or even just being creative as you are? Like, what advice could you offer folks?
In terms of being creative?
Yeah. Or being the best who you can be, especially now.
Well, I think everybody has creativity in them. I really do. Everyone has some kind of art. And, I think it really boils down to thinking back on when you were a child. What did you love doing? And what would you do and you would not care whether you got paid for it or not? What is it that you would keep doing and you would do it without pay? And I feel that way about writing. I was always writing. I remember trying to, because I was reading so much, I wanted to do that. And I remember writing a little book when I was maybe 8 years old. And I asked my mother to help me because I wanted the pages to open like a book. So she showed me how to sew the pages with needle and thread. We sewed the paper so it would open up. And it's interesting because in that book, even though I was a Black child, I made the book about a little white girl named Doll, because I thought that's what I had to do, because that's all I saw, right? Doll had a dog that died. It's a very sad story, but anyway, I kept writing and always wanted to do that. Eventually, I did get to having Black characters, and so I'm getting distracted because I see these little messages. I see Aqua said, I don't remember a TV at all. For a long time. She's exactly right. But so, back to what I was saying is that I think if we can think back to what is it we love, like Aqua, I'll use her as an example. She loved finding things we'd be outside and she'd find little things that everybody else thought was dirt or junk, but to her, it
Mm,
was treasure. And she could create art out of it. She was always cutting up pieces of paper. And look at her now. She's doing, amazing collages. Uh,
yep.
and so, look back at that time. If someone's really trying to really figure out how to be creative or what their genre is, think back. Like if you thought back, Ola, what would you think? What were you doing when you were like a kid that you loved? Do you remember?
Mm, that's a good question. Because now that you said that, I'm like, like what? I mean, there's so many things I would like to do. Like I actually love the idea of maybe one day like becoming a chef or something. I like
Oh,
to cook.
there you go.
Yeah, and I feel like with this whole being quarantined helped me more to be able to explore like the taste of my seasonings and stuff like that. And then I was like, oh, I love music. And then I'm a live music person. So I was like, maybe one day I'm just going to create a band where I'm just sing straight rubbish, but with a great melody behind me and just tour.
Well, why not? And you can do that stuff. I mean, you can do something and put it on YouTube. I was listening to a man
Right.
today, and this man was in his 70s. He was a grandfather, and he loved to cook, right? And his grandchildren encouraged him to cook and let them film it. So they filmed it. They put it on YouTube. He now has like 100,000 followers or something crazy. And he
Wow.
has this great personality, and he talks through the dishes that he's making. I mean, you just don't know where stuff can lead. And he was feeling very depressed because of COVID. He had lost his job and all this other stuff. And
Hmm.
so, but his kids really helped him go get to the root of what he loved doing. And now it's turning into a whole nother career for him. We just don't know. Why not? Why not? I want to hear about that. I want to hear about you doing that, Ola. The band and the cooking.
Oh man, that'll be some interesting stuff. I'm like, I know, I'm like, I gotta like be able to slow down. I want to be able to perfect something that I like to do best.
Yeah.
And that's even here, just doing public speaking or being able to just conduct interviews or putting an event together or just, I don't know, just put whatever your mind's to
Yeah.
it. I
But
think,
you're on the way because, like I said, I clearly remember you always, doing all kinds of things, having so many different hats at Hibernian Hall, and now look at you.
thank you.
And April just said teach the children not just to know something, but to love something. I think
Mhm.
that's absolutely right. Right? Because don't you want to love what you do? That's why I ended up leaving the law because I have no regrets about it. It was fine. I think I did a good job at it when I was doing it. But I always had this sort of pull to be writing. So literally, I was an administrative law judge for 10 years in DC, and I would have my cases that I had to make decisions about on one screen. And then I switched to my stories and I'd be going back and forth. And finally, I just was like, I know this is what I want to do. This is what I love. This is
Mm.
what I would do if I never ever got a dime for it. It's nice to get a dime for it, but I
Yes.
really keep doing it.
I mean,
So
that's a big change from going from being a lawyer to just going completely in straight writing. Like,
it is what it is. And I was very worried, and I was in my 40s when I made that change, right? And I was very worried about telling my father, even though I was a grown woman. And but my father told me that he had written a musical when I was young, and he had cast it and all this other stuff, and it was put on in Roxbury. And so he had a love of the arts too, as did my mother. And
mhm.
so they really actually celebrated me making that change. And they always sort of encouraged us. So, my older brother was an actor, got into theater. He's now getting ready to take over the presidency of Occidental College. Shout out to my brother. I'm the oldest, but he's the older of my two brothers. And my younger brother, who is deceased, became a rapper. I remember my father at first being like, "Wait a minute, I sent you to Morehouse to do business. What is this rap stuff?" But it turned out to be an amazing career for him, and his legacy still lives on. So I think that if we can encourage our children to figure out what it is they love, what their passion is, and really go for it. Yes, they have to find a way to, um, eat and live, but still figure it out. You can do it.
It's powerful. I know. So then now, what would be your superpower?
Superpower. If I could have a superpower, that's what you're asking me.
Yep. If you.
Maybe probably to read minds. I mean, I told you I'm very nosy. I spend a lot of time, writers are, you have to be observant, you have to be nosy. I tell my students all the time, yes, listen to those conversations, eavesdrop. I write down people's conversations. When I used to be out in the world, like in Starbucks or wherever, I would write down conversations I overheard because you never know. Might be able to use that in a story or something. And I have. So my superpower would actually would be to go beyond that and really see what's going on in their mind. Because sometimes, you're talking with someone, whether it's
Mhm.
a job interview or a stranger or a confrontation you have, and you know that someone is not saying exactly what they're thinking. So I would love to be able to be up there and be able to see. Remember that movie, What Women Think, or whatever? I don't know what it was. Or whatever. She could see what men thought or whatever. Something like that. I think that would be kind of cool. It might be too much after a while, but
I know, because then you're like, no, stop,
I
stop.
might get my feelings hurt.
Exactly. Especially if you had like a crush on a guy or something. It's like,
But,
and it's like, okay, fine. At least now I know.
but other than that, I mean, I would definitely like to solve these issues we have today,
Yeah.
dealing with race. It's just so painful and frustrating and disturbing. I know that my parents worked so hard to have a different world, for us, and they did. They gave us a different world. I don't feel like I'm giving my children a different world. I feel like I'm seeing the same stuff. I was just listening to Anna Devere Smith with her masterpiece, Twilight LA, and she was talking about how I think she did it right after Rodney King. That was what, 91, 92, I think. And then she revisited it in 2015 after Freddie Gray, and now we have George Floyd and a bunch of other stuff in between. It's never stopped. It's never ended. When, how? So my superpower really would be to do something about that.
That's deep. I mean, I would love to know what everybody's thinking to a certain extent, and then interject and be like, "Stop! Don't do it." Be some kind of conflict over your shoulders.
Right. Yeah.
But this is amazing. I mean, everything that we shared here today, this afternoon, like it just brought it into light. And so this is a great time as you were talking about the book that you have coming out and what projects you get coming up. But is there anything else you want to share with us, that you have anything that you're working on, part of like a great accomplishment?
I'm promoting this.
Yes.
Please check it out. Ooh, I'll move it over.
Where should we find you? How do we do the website?
I'm going to be at doing a virtual event at Brookline Booksmith on July 1st.
Awesome.
At 2 p.m. with the illustrator April Harrison, who's an amazing illustrator. And my website, I have to remember to say that, is www.trishaelamwalker.com. And that will have all the things, all the virtual events that I'm going to be doing. And right now it has some wonderful pictures of children with the book that I just love looking at. So if people get the book and take a picture of their kids, they can send that to me. I would love to have that, make a collection of it. But I'm also working on my adult novel. I'm finishing that. I'm going to finish that this summer.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yes, I was saying I definitely want to support and get a book because I have a 2-year-old now, so I definitely want to find with some wonderful, especially people that I work closely with. So it'll be really nice to have a collection of yours in my household.
Oh, I would love that. That'd be great.
Yes. And then, and with that too, like, I know with the whole COVID-19 and it's more virtual tours, but I'm hoping down the line you'll start doing some physical tours coming in Boston, and maybe something we could.
I was supposed to be there this summer before all this hit. So I'm sad about that. But hopefully soon I'll get to see you guys in person.
Yes, most definitely.
Okay.
Oh, well, this is wonderful. Thank you so much. I mean, is there anything else that you want to share with us?
I don't know. I think I'm just grateful for you taking the time out and inviting me, and it's wonderful to see you again. And I love your haircut. I'm about to copy it.
No, we appreciate you. Thank you for making the time to join me on this interview and conversation about just to catch up and see what you're doing. I mean, it's just great just to hear. And then you can also get feedback from what we're doing as Hibernian Hall. We're still making things happen as a
Hibernian Hall is so important to the community. I love that it's there, and everyone that I've worked with there has been amazing. So hello to everybody.
Yes, hello to you too. Yeah, so hopefully whoever's watching us right now, thank you so much for supporting. Again, we have Trisha Elam Walker. She's now based in DC and Roxbury girl. And then she got this book, Nana Akua, right?
Nana Akua goes to school.
Mm-hmm. Yes, thank you. So with that, thank you, everybody. Stay tuned next week for our next interview with our next guest. Thank you for being on Community Spotlight at Hibernian Hall.
Thank you, Ola. Take good care.
Yes, thank you.